Hi everyone, my name is Natalie Ledwell and this is the Inspiration Show. And today on the show we're going to have a very interesting conversation. My special guest is Aleya Dao. How are you, Aleya?
I'm very well, and thanks so much for having me on the show.
Wonderful. Now, Aleya is the author of a book called The 7 Cups of Consciousness, and using that for transformation. She's also a sound healer and energetic practitioner, amongst other things. So we're going to be having an interesting conversation on multi-dimensional realms, and how we can go into higher levels of our being to really transform our lives and live a life of happiness and fulfillment. So before we get into that conversation, though, Aleya, why don't we start a little bit with your background and how you got into doing this type of work?
I've actually been an alternative healer, I almost want to say, my whole working life. Even at the age of 6, I was intrigued with healing, and I was doing laying on of hands. And then when I went to college, I actually ended up double majoring and going and getting my master's degree in Oriental medicine as well as my massage degree. And from that, it bloomed. So really immersed in alternative medicine and looking at the body and the psychology in a different way other than traditional. And then in 2001, I had an enlightenment experience. I was lying on a sound table receiving an energy session, and my consciousness shifted literally in 30 seconds, and I could perceive these other realms and hear things. And I thought I was going crazy, but at the same time, I knew that something beautiful had happened. And so it took me many years to really integrate that higher level of awareness and then use it as a skill set and a tool to help other people transform their own lives.
Wonderful. So you were able to have that experience in a sound healing session?
Yes, a sound table is actually a table filled with water, and there are speakers underneath the water bladder, and it plays music, and the body literally feels all of the music and the sounds and the pulses of the sound coming through those speakers. And everybody has their own experience in terms of a sound healing session or a sound table, water table, but for me, I could never have prepared myself for actually what did happen.
Wow, isn't that amazing? So, I mean, by the sounds of things, you were destined to be doing this work anyway, and you already had some of those gifts as you came into this incarnation.
Yes.
Obviously this is something that you've lent me towards. I've never actually heard of I've done the bowls, been in a sound healing session with the bowls,
Yeah.
which just took me to, I don't even know where I went, but it was amazing. So this is interesting. Okay, so what is it that you feel is the message, or the that you want to portray from knowing about these different realms?
I think my core mission is to help the awakening process in the most gentle, graceful way. A lot of people will awaken or become more aware, more conscious, usually through challenge, struggle, strife, right? They can't take it anymore, and there has to be another way. And so we start seeking and searching for a deeper level of fulfillment or purpose or joy or safety, whatever those needs might be. And my approach is really looking at it from the place of how can we awaken really gently in a supported process, as opposed to terrified and not knowing if we're on the right path. And so I essentially created a formula to help people in their awakening process. And how I approach it is, what did I need 10 years or 15 years ago? And everything that I create is essentially for where I was 10 or 15 years ago. And maybe it resonates with people and maybe it doesn't.
Right. So because in my experience and with the people that I'm, conversing with, it seems that there is an awakening happening. Like, it seems like we all of a sudden, there's so many of us just going, okay, no, there's something more. I'm not happy, but I don't know why. And I feel like I felt like a couple of years ago, I felt like I was asleep. Like I was just numb and asleep, and I'm like, what's going on here? Is that my soul, or is that my light actually waking up and going, come on, it's time to step up into something different?
Yeah, I absolutely think that you know that there is something different. Deep inside you, you remember it, and then you started yearning for it, and then looking for it, and then creating it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I definitely feel like I'm walking around completely woken up now.
Eyes wide open.
Yeah. So tell me about these different, like, how many different levels are there? And when we talk like a multi-dimensional realms, like, what do you really mean by that?
Well, we have the physical realm that we're aware of, right? It's got the density, the form. But then when we close our eyes and we bring our awareness inside, or we fantasize, or we imagine, or we go to sleep and we dream, we're actually tapping into another dimensional reality that is non-physical. It's more etheric. It has levels of consciousness, maybe even other beings in those other realms that can help us and support us in our process. So many of us are trained to just focus on the physical dimension, and the book and the work that I do is really inviting people to think about another resource, another floor that they do have access to, that they can use to help them shift their reality.
Right. And so let's say that they are able to reach these other levels. What is it that they find there?
Peace, calm, fulfillment. So often we are looking for fulfillment externally, or validation externally, appreciation, love, connection. And when you start using your inner world and the higher realms, you start to fill up from within. And then it's so enough. Yeah. Instead of, well, I want a little more, right? We always want a little more if we're going outside ourselves for it. But when we really start using the energy self, what I call the higher self, to activate very particular vibrations that we're yearning for, then we get full fast.
Yeah. You know what's really interesting and what I love about the work that you're doing is because I have friends that, that can reach those other realms, but they get stuck there. And they don't know how to, they want to be there all the time, but they're not grounded in actually living life. Because, I mean, we are having this human experience for a reason.
We are.
Do you have certain techniques that you teach people to help them to reach those levels, but then also to use the information to be grounded in living life now?
Absolutely. It's completely focused on how can you live a physical life that is full of greater happiness and support, love, connection, empowerment, whatever that might be, using these other realms. And I'd love to share a concept that I teach about, and that is that when we're in the physical realm and we make a request for the energy in the higher realms to change, it happens at an exponential rate, huge, because we've got the density of the physical realm. Whereas when we're on the other side, when we're in our angel bodies, we don't have that density. We don't have that lever or that accelerator. And so the whole purpose of actually being in the physical realm, at least one of the reasons, is so that we can make these requests for the energy to become more coherent in the higher dimensions on the other side, the non-physical world. That positively impacts these higher dimensions, higher realms, and reflects down into this physical realm, creating a more coherent, connected experience.
Interesting. Now, you talk about the 7 cups of consciousness. So are we talking about 7 different levels? Like, what are the 7 cups?
There are actually 7 concepts. The first concept talks about how we have the physical world, but then we have other dimensions, other realms that do impact our physical experience. The second concept talks about the idea that you are never alone. Maybe as a child you had imaginary friends that were in another floor, and so connecting with them, I call them the team, and using them as a resource. The third concept talks about changing your inner world, using your higher self, your energy self. When you change your inner world, your outer world changes. And then using your challenges to grow and evolve. Whatever it is we're doing that we're challenged by, there is a solution. So if I'm a victim, I'm determined to master empowerment. If I'm in lack, I'm determined to master abundance. And so we want to start practicing what we intend on mastering. And then the fifth concept talks about how our bodies are not us. We are light bodies, light beings, having a human experience, and our physical human form is actually like a nature spirit. It has its own consciousness, its own awareness, and so recognizing that the body too is going through a process of evolution, just like we are, the rider, sort of like you're not your horse, you're not your car. And then the sixth concept talks about how you have spent many, many lives, or in this incarnation, cultivating a level of wisdom, mastery, gifts. And the journey is to use those gifts on yourself and model that in the world, and then that moves us into healthy, co-creative service instead of being the martyr or codependent. And then the seventh concept talks about the idea that you are perfect. There's a beautiful river of light that flows within you. You are just a beam of light, and that's the only thing you need to connect with and love. And from that place, you ride right, and life gets a whole lot easier.
Right. So that's so awesome. So you obviously work with people to help them master these different concepts.
I do. I've been teaching this work for about 12 years now and using it in my practice for 13 or 14. The first year or two, I just used the concepts on myself and tested them to make sure that they were accurate and that they actually worked. And within 3 years, completely shifted my entire reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, one of the concepts that you were just talking about before is, connecting to your guides, or to that, we can call it intuition, we can call it whatever you want. How do you do that? Because I know that we have these guiding guides around us that are trying to give us the intuitive hits or the messages that we need to take that next step. But how do we do that? Is it like trying to cultivate a relationship with them?
Well, I teach a concept of bringing yourself into that inner river of light. I call it the divine line. It's almost like your elevator shaft on the front of your spine, or a golden tube of light, or your inner waterfall. And as you hold your awareness in that place, you're actually connecting with your essence. And the more connected you are with yourself, the more connected you will be able to be with anyone, regardless of the dimension they're in. So a lot of my students and clients and subscribers say, Aleya, I so want to connect with my guides. And I'm like, okay, step one, connect with yourself. And the only way, not the only way, but the way in which I teach is to take that inhale, use your inhale to pull yourself into this inner river of light. Use your exhale to ground yourself in there, and then you can actually travel up that divine line river of light to your higher self, like you on a higher floor, and ask your higher self, energy self, to connect with your guides and to energetically receive the information from your guides, your team, the archangels, the ascended masters. And so when you're asking your energy self to receive the information, you get it. If you ask your mind to get it, it would be like asking my mouse on my computer to run the application of Word. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Well.
And I think too, it's not just asking the question, but it's sitting still long enough to hear the answer.
Bingo. Absolutely.
Because that's the thing, we're frustrated. We're like, oh, what do we do next? I'm like, I'm trying to. I think it's really, and I think it's not just sitting quiet long enough, but it's also the quality of the questions that you ask as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, having that discernment. And there's a really favorite question that I use, and I say, what is it that I need to remember and embody at this time? And by asking that kind of question, it keeps me in my power. It keeps me remembering that I do have a deep wisdom, and all I have to do is recall it. Some part of me knows it, especially if I'm desiring it. And so it might be a situation that I don't know how to handle. How do I need to handle this in the way that supports everyone's greatest happiness in the most evolved way? Yeah.
Right. And so in the book, The 7 Cups of Consciousness, you have some of these questions listed in there?
I do. I have those 7 concepts and then tools and a process to really practice and then embody those concepts.
And you actually also have an awesome gift for our community as well.
Yes, yes. It's a free week of the Daily Cups of Consciousness. They're little 7 to 10-minute audio meditations delivered via email or with the Cups of Consciousness app. And then people can also get a free Tall Cups of Consciousness session, which is an hour-long energy balancing session on video and also audio. So definitely welcome to explore that.
Yeah, and I love this because the meditations are very short, and it sounds like they're designed to help us get connected with the essence of who we are, so that we can be in a place of asking the right questions to get the inspiration that we need to move to the next level.
Yeah, all of the tools are really designed to help people use their own energy self. It's never me doing anything to them. And so the stronger your energy self gets, the wiser you start to resonate and really tap into your own inner wisdom. And also the daily meditations and those tall cups, all of the energy work that I do is really for the higher self, the energy fields, not the mind.
Yeah.
Because as soon as the higher self, energy self gets it, then the mind understands it at a much deeper level.
Because it's like you have to experience it first for the mind even to wrap itself around it.
Totally. So a lot of people try it out, and this is sort of a challenge in the marketing realm. It's like, I don't get it, but it feels good. Like, you don't have to get it. Let it support you at an energetic level, and then your mind will get it.
Yeah, wonderful. Aleya, thank you so much for joining me today. It has been a very enlightening conversation, which I knew it would be. Yeah, I just want to really thank you for your time.
Thank you, Natalie. It's really a treat to connect with you.
Pleasure. Now, guys, if you're watching this show, I recommend that you click on the banner so you can go through to the website and register for the 7 free days. You know, I really encourage you to really try it out, because like we said, it's something that maybe intellectually you're like, yeah, I don't know about this, but when you actually experience it and feel it for yourself, then you'll understand, you know, what Aleya is talking about here and how it can really help you take your life to the next level. So also share this video. And you can do that by clicking the Facebook and the Twitter share buttons on this page. And also leave your email if you haven't done so already, so we can send you the Manifesting with the Masters video e-course for free. So until next time, remember to live large, choose courageously, and love without limits. We'll see you soon.